Hello, everyone. Glad to see you back at Silver Tears Tarot. And of course, a warm welcome to anyone who's joining us for the first time. So, when I did your reading for the month of November earlier this month, we saw a lot of change was coming your way, and by and large, were going to be okay with it. We also saw that you were maybe a little bit more ready for it than you might have realized. And there was a chance you might surprise yourself and possibly see things coming out of your life that don't belong there anymore. So I remember those parts. You might want to go back and watch that reading, especially if you haven't had the chance. So that was at the beginning of November, and we know we've had a lot of change since then. We've had, most recently, we had this full moon and this eclipse that brought a lot of change. So we're going to look now to see basically what is the energy coming toward us for the rest of the month. And so, as usual, it's a general reading. It's for all signs. It's timeless. So even if I'm pulling it at a specific time, a specific month, when you run across it is the most important part. But please, if it does resonate, please do like, share, and subscribe. That'll help us stick together. And I know these readings won't resonate with everyone because they're readings for the collective, but we have an awesome collective that has been evolving here. Lots of really amazing patterns. So if you like it, you may want to go back and look at some previous readings also. So let's go ahead and jump into it. We're going to see what's in store for the second half of November. And we're starting first with kind of that main idea. What is the main idea for this reading? All right, we have the Six of Swords, the ever popular Six of Swords that has been coming out for a lot of readings in a lot of contexts. Basically, though, what it means is we've got you, there is this sense of a tumultuous sort of energy that hasn't quite ended yet. You know that eventually that's going to pass and it's going to become less tumultuous, but it hasn't really happened yet. So things are a little bit challenging right now from an emotional standpoint. I don't get the sense necessarily from this card that you're not handling it well, though. Just that there might be a lot going on, and something that's going on beneath the surface. Look for the edges of it right when you wake up in the morning. Oh, and I'm reading for you from the Aquarian Tarot, and then I'm going to clarify with the Constellation Tarot here in a minute. So we'll have a little bit more detail there. Let's take a look at the setting. So what I like to call that energetic backdrop. Okay, and just taking the top card. I like to take the top card that comes out unless there is something else that I feel also guided, like I'm guided to take. So we have the Queen of Rods, which is fire energy, and it's like the Queen of Wands in some decks. And it's really, the word petulant comes to mind, but there is this sort of, there's a short fuse. There's a lot can happen quickly. There's a lot of passion that can kind of come exploding out at any moment with this sort of energy. And that's your emotional backdrop. So we'll have to clarify that to see exactly what that means, because that could be the air in the room, or it could be the mood that you've been in, or it could be the mood that somebody else has been in. So you never know. Maybe it's the mood at work, but we'll take a look here a little bit closer when we clarify. Next, though, let's take a look at the thing that's sticking out the most. So when I look at the thing that's sticking out the most, it's not always, we've got the main idea over here, which is that idea that things have not calmed down. There's something that implies it will calm down. Maybe you're handling it well, but it has not yet calmed down. But what I want to see over here is the thing that's sticking out the most. And so it could be something about that which won't calm down. Well, we've got the Lover's card. And so this one is about a choice in love. This is a doesn't have to be romantic love, but in a lot of cases, that's the direction that this one goes. So if you have a choice confronting you and it is not about romantic love, recognize that this could still be an applicable message for you. But this is, again, the thing that sticks out the most. So we're going to dig in a little bit deeper and understand another important message. So we've got the main message. We've got the emotional backdrop. We know that it's kind of short fuse sort of emotional backdrop. In that thing that's sticking out the most, there's a choice that needs to be made. What is another important energy that's acting on this? I don't want to say something that's crossing it because that may be what comes out and it may not. Just another important energy that's acting on it. It's not going to be characterized as good or bad. We're just going to call it a neutral energy that is impacting it. And honestly, all of the energies could be considered neutral. It's like you add your own flavor to it to decide if it's going to be good or bad. Because what's good in one person's eyes could be pretty bad in another, and even under different circumstances. So there's no necessarily inherently good or bad thing. So this is something else that sticks out, or something else that is impacting the situation, an energy that is impacting it, for better or for worse, depending on your perspective. Because we know when there's a choice of love, there may be some questions about people's different perspectives. Okay, so we've got the Justice card. It can signify a marriage, but it can also just signify a situation where things are, it's something that needs to be kept balanced, needs to be kept right. It can also signify a marriage if you specifically are looking at that lover's card and thinking, oh, my situation is a romantic situation. If it's not, though, it could be, there are a couple different things it could be. There is something that could actually involve the justice, the court system. I don't get that very strongly, but I wouldn't rule it out. I also just get the sense that it is something that needs to be kept right, whether it is people's perceptions of an institution or just something that's going to be incredibly disruptive to a level that people would find unacceptable, because sometimes disruptive is good. But let's take a look at the hidden energy. So what else? What else do you need to know about the situation, but is maybe not easily evident to you at this time? So it's those hidden energies, and we have the sun that has come out here. My goodness. So the sun is, we see it referred to sometimes as the happiest card in the deck. And that's really what it is. I mean, it is unbridled happiness. It's that concept, it's the thing that you would always be looking for. And if there's any question about what is on the other side or what it is that you can't see, just know that there is, like, I get this strange term that pops into my mind, and it's just abject happiness, like you complete happiness. So I am really looking forward to clarifying that. That's going to be pretty fantastic because for some reason this is not totally visible to you right now. So let's take a look at what's coming your way. This is going to be what's coming your way. Oh, that's multiple cards. If it was just one, I would turn it over. What's coming your way, and this is going to be that energy into which you get to put your own free will. And two cards wanted to come out for that one. So we've got the Death card in reverse and the Empress in reverse. Okay, so these cards come together to give a message that is together. All right, so the Empress is about not being fully evolved enough. Something, somewhere, someone, maybe even the situation itself hasn't come far enough along. And then the Death card is about a change that isn't ready to be made, can't be made yet, isn't being made yet, but yet needs to be made. So you have that in the energy that you're moving toward. Right now, there's this tumultuous energy that's kind of needs to calm down, and you know it's going to calm down, but there's this choice over here, and there's this really like just powder keg sort of energy that's going on here. This is an emotion of a situation that is ready to light up, and you've got a choice here that needs to be made, but it seems like, and maybe I'm just feeling the connection between these. I don't know if this is about the choice that needs to be made, or, I mean, there's definitely a choice here, but there feels like there's an urgency to it. I can't tell if it's because of something practical or if it's because of something more emotional, just the magnetism possibly between two people bringing them together, but there's more to it. If there is an institution, if there is marriage, if there is something that that needs to be honored, needs to be kept balanced here, that could be a variety of things. That could just be people's emotional energy, and there could be no marriage involved at all. But there's something there to be overcome that involves keeping things stable and even. And again, remember, this is not necessarily romantic love. It may be for a lot of you, but there may be some situations out there where people are looking at family situations or friend of the family situations. I'm almost kind of getting that, but it's almost there's happiness right around the corner, and yet it's not ready to pop yet. It's not ready to go. We can see that it's the as you're this is the energy that you're moving into as well. So this is during the month of November, if this is when you find it, that's something that's not ready to change, not ready to end. Let's go ahead and take a look at it and clarify, because that is kind of it's almost an anxiety sort of energy. So I want to look into it and see what's happening here. And I think we probably will use the oracle cards. Those of you who watch the channel know that I bring the oracle cards a lot of times, and I don't always use them. It depends on if I'm called to or not, but I think we're going to probably need some of that advice. So we'll pull out the illustrated herbiary oracle. It's a cool deck, but we'll get a little bit of advice for you. So first, though, let's take a look at this Six of Swords in reverse here with the Constellation Tarot. Just looking for a couple of cards to clarify that. So we've got Pavo in the reverse. Okay, and we also have Corona Borealis in the upright. All right, so again, we have a situation that's not quite ready to transform, not quite ready to find its balance and move forward to the next step, but this is the equivalent of the Lover's card here. Corona Borealis is the equivalent of the Lover's card in the Constellation Tarot. And so now we've had it come out twice in the same reading. This sort of energy, especially if there's some sort of choice that needs to be made and needs to be made on a timeline. I say that because I was feeling like there was an urgency around this choice, but I can't tell if it's like a timeline, practical type of urgency, or if it's an emotional urgency around the choice. But there is something here that is creating that tumultuous emotion, that we know it's going to move into calm at some point, but it's not really ready. It hasn't happened yet. So that's just kind of clarifying that current energy. And one of the things that we see is about this choice. So let's take a look at this Queen of Rods powder keg sort of energy. It's like the place is about to blow. That's kind of what it feels like. It might just be the energy in the overall situation. Could be somebody's mood, though. I can't get away from that, because some people, especially if they have a lot of presence, when they walk into a room feeling like a powder keg, everybody in the room is aware of it. So is it that, or is it legitimately coming from multiple sources, such that it's the air in the room? It's hard to tell, but there's definitely a strong air that's pervasive. There's this Three of Wands in reverse. And what I get here is not that things have not been set into motion, but that whatever was set into motion is no longer a candidate for motion for some reason. There's a Seven of Swords. Something has gone wrong here to throw things off balance. And if it is not deceptive, it at least feels deceptive to somebody. So there could be some sort of, I'm getting the sense of this is getting very emotional. It's like an emotional affair, or almost it's just something that has really caused. It could even just be somebody. It's not like a Three of Cups, like a third party energy, but it still kind of feels like it. And it feels like someone, is betraying you as they're moving into a relationship that for some reason doesn't fit. And there is this Seven of Swords kind of energy. It feels deceptive, betrayal. There's a sense of betrayal, but there's also, like I said, there's this powder keg sort of energy, and something that was ready to move forward before and kind of working on itself, ready to set things into motion, is not now. So something has been changed, and that's part of what's causing this powder keg sort of situation, and that feeling in the room, that feeling in the environment. Wow. Okay. So this is something that has been changing. We know there's been a lot of change here, especially over the last couple days. And as I've talked with some of you, I know that there is some change out there. it's really showing up in the background energy right now. Let's take a look at this Lovers card and see what's happening here. So we've got the Seven of Wands in reverse. That feels like it translates to a lack of confidence and a lack of a desire to struggle and fight, which is, not necessarily what I always get from that. Someone's trying to, someone is not feeling like they can accomplish what they need to accomplish. Like the choice, here's the thing, they know what choice they want to make, but they don't feel like they're strong enough to make it. This is not a strength card, but it might as well be for all intents and purposes in this, the way that it's coming out here and the way that it feels. It's like this lack of confidence, a lack of strength. It's like they open their mouth and no voice comes out. But there's also this feeling where they're trying to push it down. It's almost a self-sabotage sort of feeling. And not because they don't want you as the choice, or they don't want the choice that they know they've chosen. It's because there's something that's really got to be maintained, a balance that's got to be maintained. And so it's like they're choking it down. They're refusing to think about it on some level and compartmentalizing because that's the best way they know to be able to deal with something like this. They may be causing this Seven of Swords sort of energy, and this Queen of Rods energy could be your own as you are watching them drift and turn into, a person who does not appear to be evaluating this decision, the same way that they were very recently. It feels like there's been a hard left here. And it feels like that's kind of what I don't feel like that's necessarily. So it's hard to say because everybody's on a different timeline. Is it something that just happened to you? Is it something that is happening now and you find this reading and go, oh my goodness? Is it something that is sort of imminent? Or, in a couple of cases, I get the sense it's stale. It's like it happened 2 weeks ago. Not that you'd be over it by then, but it wouldn't feel like it did if it happened yesterday, where you figured out that something was not quite right. It's like figuring out that they have moved into a different relationship right after telling you that they wanted to move forward with you, and they were still evaluating this choice, and you were giving it a lot of thought, and kind of it was keeping you awake at night. I mean, it's, and then to find out that they're suddenly not thinking about it that way, they're feeling like they're not strong enough. There's definitely still a choice to be made. There's also definitely still some sort of balance to be struck here. So let's take a look at that. We've got our cards. Okay, so we have the Five of Wands. Boy, have I been feeling that Five of Wands. And we also have Halley's Comet in reverse. So Halley's Comet in reverse. This is, okay, so basically what's happening, um, your person is not sure whether to run this way or that way. And so they're sort of just going into themselves to try and find an answer or two, but mostly because there's all of this struggle going on around something that has to maintain a balance. So this is another thing that's acting on the situation. So I know this won't apply to everybody for sure, but this is like a person who makes a choice that they would want to be with you rather than a spouse. And, again, apply this as it's appropriate. This is very specific. But somebody has decided they want to be with you as opposed to their spouse. But because things are so challenging to keep balanced, and they have to, because perhaps there are children involved, there's a huge struggle that ensues within them primarily. This is like a Five of Swords kind of Five of Wands. But they withdraw into themselves, and it just looks like I don't think about this anymore. It looks like they completely disappear and they don't have the strength to fight it. They may even be showing to you that they are absolutely not moving forward with whatever it is that you guys had already talked about. And it was sort of the thing that the two of you had between you around what was going to happen in the future. So let's take a look at this sun that's around the corner, something that you can't see. So we've got the Four of Wands in reverse. That's a lack of stability, and it's almost kind of, oops, I dropped a couple. Let's see here. And luckily for me, they did not drop. If they drop face down, I don't have to think about how they fit into the spread. So let's see what else wants to come out here to talk about this sun card. So there's a happiness for you, and we can already see that it's not based on the stability it brings to your life. This Four of Wands, with it being in the reverse like that, it's almost telling you, hold on, you're dodging a bullet. There's something here that you need to understand. This is not something that is. The answer to this is not stability, also. There's a Page of Swords that's saying, don't jump. That's the message coming from this card. It's a lot of things the Page of Swords can mean, but what really is coming out of this is don't jump. Don't jump. You may have dodged a bullet. You've got happiness around the corner. So that's an interesting sort of hidden energy. You may be able to feel this underneath the surface if you're able to clear away some of this. This is like a betrayed, angry Queen of Wands or Rods sort of energy, and it is not to be trifled with, but it's going to run its course a little bit for you if this is your energy. And if that's the case, then what you're going to see emerging behind it is this thing you can't see. And I get the sense that you can't see it because of the sense of betrayal and the just right there's a reason for you to be angry if that's your energy. Let's take a look at what's coming here in the future. So this is that, remember, something isn't ready to change and it isn't changing. So it's something that you have to kind of manage. And that's the energy into which you're going to be putting your own free will. So I saw something turned over in the deck. We've got a Two of Wands. Okay. This is around being at a crossroads. Sometimes the Two of Wands is around being at a crossroads. We also have a sense of disappointment. This Four of Cups is kind of a disappointed Four of Cups. And so basically, it's kind of coming to a realization that I feel like this almost comes in between this feeling and this feeling. So there's a lot of tumultuous experience right now. And the backdrop is this sort of, I feel like I've been wronged. It's angry, but it's righteous anger. It really is. This was supposed to be one way, now it's a different way, and I don't feel good about it. Behind that is this happiness that comes from not jumping into something, not doing something. There's still a choice to be made, but it's like there's this person is pushing the choice away, trying not to make it, doesn't feel strong enough about it because they need to maintain this balance that is happening over here, or that they want to make sure keeps happening over here. But there's a lot of struggle that's associated with that. Like I said, this is like a Five of Swords, sort of Five of Wands, and there's a sense that they've gone into themselves. So this is like you being left standing there at this crossroads saying, okay, now what? Now what am I supposed to do? I'm disappointed. I'm not thrilled about it. Things are not moving forward. What am I supposed to do? And that's why I get the sense that it's like this frustrated, angry sort of energy, and this crossroads. What am I supposed to do? And around the corner is this, you know what? Don't jump. Don't do the thing. Whatever that means. So that's interesting. Let's go ahead and get you this advice. So this is from the Illustrated Herbiary Oracle, and it's a really pretty deck. You can get caught up in how pretty it is, and then you hear the message and you're like, well, that was kind of blunt. Sometimes it's not rude ever. It's what you need to hear. It's a good deck for that. A lot of them are, but it's just this one especially lends itself to that. Is that a single card? Yes. Okay, so the Distill Yourself. This is one of my favorite cards. It's the Time card, the spice time, the herb time. But so the idea of distilling yourself is really this energy around this situation is putting you in an excellent position to do this. There is one of my decks has a card called the Forge, and it also reminds me of this Distill Yourself card, because ultimately what ends up happening is you get broken down into the pieces, the parts that make you up, and as you're putting yourself back together, you have this opportunity to kind of do so in a slightly different way. And I feel like this is also, I think it maybe goes, this situation has become very frustrating and has induced a lot of anger. It hasn't changed. I'm standing at a crossroads. What am I going to do about this? I'm incredibly disappointed. Throughout the entire process, you've been kind of going through the distillery to distill yourself, but as you decide how you want to put yourself back together, the sun is what's around the corner for you. It's not going to be about seeking some specific sort of stability, and it's not going to be about jumping into some situation that feels like something that you really need to evaluate. This choice is here for a reason, but there's also a reason that this person is being drawn back towards something that can't change. There's something about that that's going to make it seem like you have dodged a bullet when you get to the other side. So this is really interesting. I'm not actually going to take this one into the extended today, but I'm curious to know from you guys how this is playing out, because this is not a reading that I was specifically going to take and put into the Soulmate series, but I'm seriously considering it at this point because of how much has come out here that is clearly relevant to a person who is in that place in that situation. So I think I'm going to go ahead and include it in that playlist, although it's really just intended to be what's happening in November. So some of these situations won't be associated with a soulmate. It'll be a different type of relationship or a situation that closely resembles it. But there's a lot of change coming in for us during this month. So there's this tumultuous energy that, frankly, is underlain by some additionally tumultuous energy because there's stuff going on that we're not okay with. We are going to have to evaluate everything and say, what is happening here? How am I going to change? What should I change? What shouldn't I change? What's going to end up happening here? But the good news is this happiness is around the corner. So that is about the best message that I could see coming out for something that looks like such a dark, difficult path during certain parts of it. So hold your head up. There is definitely positivity along the way and things that you're going to look back on fondly anyway. So might as well go ahead and think about those things and be grateful for them as they're happening, even though there's some difficult stuff that is also happening. So hang in there. Thank you guys for joining along with me. If you feel like this resonated, like I said before, please do like, share, subscribe so that we can stick together. And I'll look forward to seeing you again in another reading.